When deciding if a weapon is worth obtaining in Terraria, a number of factors need to be considered, such as when about in the progression it becomes available, the process of farming for it, and its actual power. Today, we're going to be talking about a relatively unheard of weapon which I actually think deserves the lack of recognition it gets. I'm talking about the Medusa Head. I first want to be straight and say this is not a terrible weapon, and you're more than welcome to use it in a playthrough. However, I would highly advise not going out of your way to obtain it, as it really just is not worth it at all. However, I do respect this weapon for its rather unique functionality, and it is by far one of the most strange weapons in the game. So without further ado, let's see how you obtain this thing. Off the bat, the Medusa Head has a painful 2% chance to drop from Medusas, a rare enemy that spawns after entering hard mode in one of the smallest biomes in the game, the marble biome. Yeah, not the best start. I find that marble biomes are uncommon anyway, and are usually surrounded with other biomes, making the spawns even more lackluster. Medusas should start to show up, but not at a particularly rapid rate. And this is where I quickly realised the gravity of how rare this item really is. Even with everything in place to maximise my spawn chances, Medusas really didn't show up frequently. Usually, I'd have to circle around killing enemies to create new spawns for a couple of minutes before one popped up. And even then, you only have a 1 in 50 chance of the head actually dropping. And of course, odds can go anywhere. And for me, in this scenario, I started to question if the weapon was even in the game. I just could not get this thing to drop. So much so, I managed to get a hallowed key to drop, and somehow a bunch of pocket mirrors, which I kid you not, also have a 2% chance of dropping. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I had a Rod of Discord drop from a stray Chaos Elemental.
Oh, it's not fair.
After many more kills, now 7 times over odds, I finally had one drop. Anyway, I think it's about time we looked at how it performs. Unfortunately, due to its bizarre firing method, I could not test this thing's DPS on target dummies, so I had to come up with a bit of a non-typical method for reading the DPS, using it on a bunch of slimes with their defense taken off with Ichor. While this of course isn't going to be fully accurate, it will give us a vague idea. It seems to be drifting around the 700 mark on multiple enemies, which isn't too bad I guess. Now on actual enemies with progression accurate armor and accessories, the head continuously attacks up to 4 times per second, striking up to 3 enemies per attack. This makes it especially useful against large groups. However, its short range does mean it can be quite a dangerous weapon to use, and its damage isn't anything to shout about. As you can see, although its multiple enemy attack is nice, it still took quite a bit of time to take out these mimics, and it struggles even more on a single enemy like this biome mimic, dealing mediocre damage but putting you in harm's way. There are so many other weapons that could take out this biome mimic quicker and from further away at this stage in the game. But that's only enemies. What about bosses? Out of the 3 mechanical bosses, it definitely excels in the destroyer fight due to its many segments. However, it still doesn't do great due to its limited range. I actually found the best strategy being using the Queen Slime mount to bounce off the side of the boss and deal more damage when getting up close to the hitbox. Yes, this was possible, but it took forever and would have been much harder without the mount. So what about Skeletron Prime? Well, this is where the weapon completely falls apart for me. It deals little chips of damage whenever you get close, which just isn't good enough. Not to mention, although its firing style looks cool, it's very inconsistent and can't be aimed like the Life Drain. It just kind of deals damage in an aura around the player when it feels like it. As you can imagine, this fight ended how you would expect. So I think it's time we really evaluated the purpose of this weapon. While it's got a very cool premise and can be quite effective against large groups, at the end of the day, it's just a weaker version of the Life Drain. Even though I got extremely unlucky with mine, and perhaps you could build a farm using marble blocks, that time spent building the farm could be spent killing Crimson Mimics for a Life Drain, which is pretty much just a significantly superior version of this weapon. What do you think? Is the Medusa Head worth it, or is it just one of the most pointless drops in the game? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. For more Terraria content like this, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.